Good morning. I'm Susan Prabulus, and this is my co-presenter, Jason Rushing. We are both K-5 computer science teachers who also help teachers integrate technology in the classroom from Lincoln, Nebraska. And we are really excited to be here with you again at FETC, sharing some of our favorite technology treasures. Today's session is going to be pretty fast and furious to get through 50, and we did it in 40 minutes last year. We've got 60 this year, so a little extra time, but everything will be on the presentation. The little business card you got, if you didn't get one, the QR code will be here at the end, or you could scan your neighbors. We'll have all the information about all of our treasures. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, first treasure. I know you probably heard about this already this week. Leslie Fisher shared it, but Kahoot is one that we love to use. In fact, this year, one of my favorite ways to use it, it's a game response system with kids. They can use any device, and you can create a question and answer type of quiz game, and they can put in their answer, and they immediately get feedback, whether they got it right or not. You as the teacher get feedback, and then they get some points the faster they get their answer in correct. I used it this year after the first week of school to test them to see if they remembered my procedures in my classroom. And that was a great way to kind of test that out. They had so much fun doing that. All right, PairDeck is similar to Kahoot. It integrates with Google Drive, and you can create kind of different types of quizzes. For instance, this one, kids could place a dot. Maybe you were asking a question like where did early civilizations develop, and they could place their dot where they think the answer would be. I've seen it used with a skeleton where maybe you ask a question about a certain bone so they can place their dot on that picture. They can move to a thumbs up or a thumbs down and instantly get feedback there. PairDeck does have some free parts, but also they are kind of, as they said, out to make some money, so there's some paid versions there. But it fully integrates with Google Drive, so if you are a Google Apps for Education school, your kids can sign in with their Google Drive, and then you instantly know who's signed in on PairDeck as they play the game. Recite This. This is a fun, free website, and what you can do here is you can take any quote, whether you make it up or a quote from a famous person, you can enter it in, and then you get to choose the style that the quote comes out as. So it could even be fun. So that one there I chose was a thumbtack with a paper, but students you could even have them just give a response to a question that way, just as a fun, different way to respond, and they get an image like that. Or if they were doing a presentation for you and they were quoting a famous person, they could create a quote there, and it creates an image that you can then download, print, use in a different format. So it's just a really fun, free one. Heads Up. All right, how many of you have ever played Heads Up before, just as a fun game? All right, awesome. Well, last year when we were at FETC, on our way home with some of our friends, we were playing Heads Up at the airport, and we were just having so much fun. People were laughing at us, and but it was great fun. But I got to thinking after I got home, I bet I could use this in my classroom. And sure enough, Heads Up, they give you a word, and you put the iPhone or the iPad up on your head, and then people have to try to get you to guess that word. And so I decided that I would try it with kids when we were like lining up, because, you know, you're waiting there for a teacher to come, or you've got those few extra minutes. They loved it. There's an animal one, and there's a kids one that I used with them. And then I saw you can make your own deck. So for 99 cents, you can buy and make your own deck. So I took my kindergarten sight words that the kindergartners were using, and I made an exit ticket. So as they left, ding, they told me the word as they walked out the door. And we didn't play it the original way, but I held up the phone and they said, you know, this, ding, you can go. You, ding, and they loved it. In fact, they begged to play it as they're leaving when I don't have my phone out. They're like, go get your phone so we can do that as we leave. And older kids, you could put vocabulary words, and they would have to get each other to describe the word without saying the word. And then they just came out with Heads Up pictures, because that was the one thing, I blogged about that last year, Heads Up, and I said, I wish they had a picture version for littler kids. And sure enough, this year they do. And so that's like a butterfly. They have an animal deck. They have things that start with B deck. It's really geared a lot more towards younger kids, the Heads Up pictures. But again, I thought I could make my own deck, take, let's say, computer science pictures around my room, the printer, the computer, the laptop, those things, and have them say that. Or take pictures of things in their classroom. It would be great for ELL, English language learners. It would be great for any students that might need a picture prompt to help them with a vocab word. So just a really fun way to practice vocabulary. I'm going to pass it off to my partner in crime.
Code.org. I'm sure you all have done the Hour of Code this year. Raise your hand if you took part in that. Yes, wonderful. Lincoln Public Schools has been involved in that for a couple of years, and last year we were really pleased. We were like the 15th 15th most active city in the world in terms of student participation. So we really like the Code.org stuff. This year they really kind of upped the ante with their lessons and their skills. They have the courses I'm sure that you're all familiar with that you can sign in and have kids log into. We loved that, and our kids have been going absolutely crazy with that. They've really amplified what they provided. But then we got to thinking about Code.org stuff. There was a large stuff that was there for them, but we needed some more outside materials for kids that maybe finished those courses. So we went and found some other things, and one of them we liked was the Google products, the Made with Code stuff. And on this one, they've got a series of activities just like the Code.org things. On the next slide, you can see that you can make your own snowflake, you can make an avatar, there's the create your own beats, kind of create your own music kind of a thing. Students in my class also programmed the national Christmas tree so it would blink lights at a certain time. There's just tons of things that you can do, and I was amazed at the kids, how they took what we learned in the Hour of Code lessons and applied it to these without me even teaching it. And then they would send me links via email or through our Google Classroom accounts of things that they provided or created on their own, which was wonderful. One thing, though, that we did have a problem with, Susan and I did, was there didn't seem to be a lot of stuff that was available for the littles, our kindergartners that were having a hard time with the word and stuff. So we found this one, Susan did actually, I think, called thefoos.com. And this was a really fun activity, and the kindergartners took to this like water. It's all pictorial based. There's no written directions. There's actually no verbal directions really to it at all. It's just kind of like, what do you see? What do you think you need to do? And can you make it happen? It's kind of, they look at it as kind of like a Mario, where you're trying to get the character to move and get the coins or get the stars or whatever it is. And they love the sounds. It sounds like Mario to a certain extent with the constant music. And then when they reach the goal, the little guy shakes his little tushy and they love it because they start to laugh and they stand up and they do it too. This was a super fun activity. It's available on the web. There is a little bit of a download for a player that you have to put on, but it works really well. It's free. And they now have an iPad app as well that you can work, and it's a free download as well. So it's really, really fun, and the kids loved that one. And then there's also Scratch Junior, which is an app that is fun to play with. It's non-verbal. It's got arrows. It's got the circle arrows, it's got repeats. They can actually make the algorithms to make the Scratch Junior cat move. They've got a drawing feature where you can add details to the cat. You can add a background. It'd be wonderful to give them a story idea and have them create a little animation to go with that. And kids can take this and run with it. Now, with the iPad, I'm not a one-to-one iPad school, but it's fun for me to take from the Foos, show this on my projector, and work through a process with these kids, and then maybe have small groups where they're working 1-to-1 or 2-to-2, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 on a project. So Scratch Junior, and we just noticed today that it's free, so you can get that for free right now if you go to the Apple iTunes store. And I think that they're going to make a Scratch Junior web version very, very soon. And Scratch is free on the web, so we're hoping that Scratch Junior will be free as well. And back to you.
All right, now I'm going to take it from free to expensive, but expensive with I love this. I have been piloting in my classroom Dash and Dot robots for the past couple of weeks. And if you're interested in robots or anything, be sure to follow my blog, The Digital Scoop, which is on your card or at the end you'll see, as I've been trying to post quite regularly about my experiences with the robots in the classroom. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, robots, that is totally not in my wheelhouse. What would I do with that? But my kids are learning problem solving, critical thinking, working in groups, mathematics, science, so much more than just thinking about a robot. And these are not your typical robot. They are like, they draw the kids in. They're really fun and friendly. In fact, they draw anyone in that comes into my classroom. And I've had lots of visitors because of these robots lately. And they are expensive. Their Dash is about $2.99, or $1.99, I'm sorry. And then Dot, the little robot, which is stationary, but you can use Dot to control Dash and become the event that makes Dash do something. And like I said, and there's also some accessories that you can get, like the xylophone. We've done everything from, I had my kids do a scientific experiment with the scientific method where we measured how far Dash traveled at different speeds. I've done some challenges with them, one called There and Back, where my first graders were using Blockly to program Dash. How many Dash steps does it take to get across the square? And then can you do it in less? And they were working in groups to problem solve that. And so I have just been amazed and thrilled. And again, I get to use them for a few more weeks, and then I'm going to pass them off to another Lincoln teacher. But definitely has totally opened my eyes and my horizons to what the potential of these could be. All right, we're going to switch gears now from coding a little bit to some of our other favorites. Canva is one of my favorite free websites where you can go. They have lots of templates set up. For instance, they might say, do you want a Twitter banner? Do you want to make something for Facebook or Etsy? And you can make customized graphics that you can then download for free and use. There are some pay parts. They will have on their website graphics that you can use for free, and then there'll be some that you can pay for. I've never paid for anything there. In fact, like for instance, way over there on the side where it says foldable books, I kind of use this sometimes to make a little graphic that I can pin to Pinterest for a blog post. And so I just uploaded my own little image and used some of their graphics, and they already have them laid out. They've picked fonts for you and colors if you want, and then you can download them and use them. And I love Canva. I can't say enough good things about it. I have so much fun going there, and it makes it so easy to make something that looks really nice that you can then use. All right, Jeopardy Rocks. I know we've all seen lots of places to make Jeopardy games, like PowerPoint games. Jeopardy Rocks you can actually make online. You can set up to have how many players you want. So if you had 4 groups in your classroom, you can save your Jeopardy game online. I believe you can use Jeopardy games from other classrooms there online. And it's just a really fun, slick. I love the interface, how it looks. It looks really clean and nice. And then your Jeopardy games, if you make a review game, is there for you to use whenever, and you're not necessarily tied to a computer or to PowerPoint. All right, Tween Tribune, and you can see that these are kind of all randomly put in here. But Tween Tribune, I'm a big believer in online nonfiction for kids to do projects with. And last year in our treasures, which you can find on my blog, I shared quite a few kid-friendly news sites, and Tween Tribune is another one. One thing I like about Tween Tribune is that they have, and it's kind of, you can't really see it there, but they've got different levels that you can pick. So if you have a younger student who needs their reading level maybe changed a little bit, you can pick the younger site version. If you have older students, then you can pick the articles that have the reading level bumped up a little bit. And again, just a fabulous place for kids to find news articles that are going to be friendly to them. I hesitate sending my kids just out to like CNN or a news site because the news can be scary. And it's not that I want to shield them from everything, but I kind of want to know that what they're seeing is something that's maybe appropriate for my classroom. And if I send them out to find a news article, I don't have time to go and look at every article on there all the time. So these are places that I can feel safe sending my students to find news articles and do current events in my classroom. All right, Bedtime Math. This one is really fun. It's free. There's an app. There's a website. And every day they put up a math problem. And they have, every math problem has a story with it. So it's not just math. There's actually a story, a little story to read. And then out of the story, they come up with some math problems. They always have one for really, really little kids, easy, 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 one for in the middle, a harder one for upper elementary, and then they have a challenge question. And sometimes the challenge questions stump me for a while. So they definitely have something for all age levels. I know that one of my kindergarten teachers, her son, their teacher sent home that they should do this every night at home before they go to bed as a math practice at home, a fun way to practice. But in the classroom, it would be great to post as a question of the day. And so I like Bedtime Math, totally free. They have some books that they've written, I believe, as well. And you can use it on the iPad or on the web as well. All right, Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. I created a little internet passport for my first graders this year. So they got a little passport, which again is on my blog if you want it for free, a little foldable book, and I put all sorts of websites for them to go and visit. And one of them was the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. I love this, and the kids just went nuts over it because you can actually go and scroll around and you are in the museum. And it works on really any computer. I'm not sure about iPad devices, but the laptops in my room are not that new, and we had no problem having all 20 kids on it at the same time. I kind of worried about that because it is so graphics heavy. But it's kind of like you're in a virtual world there at the museum. You can scroll around, you can scroll up, you can scroll down, you can go to all levels of the museum. So they loved it when they would look up and all of a sudden there's a whale on the ceiling. And then you can click on pictures for more information. And I mean, they just had a blast, and it was like we went on a virtual field trip there for free. And so that was really fun. And I tied in internet safety. We talked about being safe online and how to navigate. But definitely, and you certainly do not have to be a first grader, high school kids could benefit from this as well. All right. Switching gears again, off to a little science. Discovery Education, they have tons of wonderful resources. One of my favorites is their virtual labs. You can actually, they have two of them. They have one where you grow tomatoes, and then this is my favorite one with the little critters. And you have to run an experiment using the scientific method and variables to figure out what type of environment these little critters want to live in. And so whenever we come around, the fifth graders always learn scientific method, and we're right in the middle of science fair right now, prepping and the kids making projects. But they can go through, there's downloadable materials, worksheets that you can print, teacher guides, and the kids love letting those little critters loose and seeing, do they like a soft terrain? Do they want it to be hard? Do they like light or no light? And so it's a great way for kids to practice an experiment in a virtual world, whereas maybe you also have them doing real experiments. But I love this. I've used it for a few years now and never get any complaints from the kids, and in fact get lots of light bulbs going off and understanding with this one. All right.
SlideShare. We use SlideShare for every time that we do any kind of a presentation at a conference. When the PowerPoint's done, when we're finished, we will export it and upload it to SlideShare, which is then a way for us to share that on our blogs or on the website. It's a really quick and simple way to kind of keep all of your stuff. So you create an account, and then I've got a listing of all my SlideShare presentations that I can get a quick link to and share that with a teacher if I need to. So it's a great way if you're teaching a specific class and you're using PowerPoint as a consistent way of showcasing what you need the kids to know. It's a great way to have that link, send it to them digitally, and they have that slide show to go back to if they need to or if they missed a class. It's a wonderful way to keep everything organized. Screencast-O-Matic is a fun little thing. We, as teachers, know that it's very difficult to be gone, and it's like almost a day's worth of work just to be gone for one day. And in our world, in the technology, computer science world, it's even more challenging because a lot of times the subs that we have don't want to be in our room because they're afraid. So what we do a lot of times, Susan and I, is we'll use Screencast-O-Matic, and we will actually make videos for our subs to play for our students. And so we're doing the lesson prior and showing the kids exactly what they need to do, and then say, go to work. And they're hearing our voice, hearing our directions, seeing what we want them to do, and the sub just going play, and then going, okay, Go. And it's a really wonderful way to keep your lessons consistent for each of the classes if you're missing them when you're gone. And I like it too because then I've always got 2 or 3 kids that are sick or gone or whatever it is. They come back in, I go, oh, okay, well here, watch this while I'm helping the kids get caught up. There is a free version, I believe, and we also use, if you don't want to do Screencast-O-Matic, you can use QuickTime on an Apple, and you can do your screen shares that way, or just an actual video. And I do that with my kinders a lot of times. I'll just have my face right there, and I'll go, hey, little guys, and they're seeing me, and they love it. So it's a way to get that kind of point of view across, which is fun. You can, yeah, that's true. She says you can attach this then to a Google Doc as well. And what we did a while back is we would have a lesson when we were introducing a skill in Google Docs. You can get a link then when you're done with it. You provide that link in your Google Doc. The kids can watch that tutorial, so to speak, and then do the activity on that actual Google Doc. So it's a really cool way to do that as well. Thanks, Susan. Forgot about that. SafeShare TV, we are in a very filtered, very locked down to the point of you can't even breathe school district in terms of YouTube. So what we've decided to do is we have SafeShare TV. You find the YouTube video that you want, you take the link, you upload it into the SafeShare TV, and what it does is it basically takes all the crap sort of out of that YouTube page. You don't see any of the ads, you don't see any of the other things, you don't see the related videos. It's just the video that you want the kids to see. So it's a really easy way for you to kind of block out all that peripheral stuff that kind of can get kids going, look what's on the side, and oh, click on that crazy cat video, and you don't want to have that. So it's a way to just kind of get the junk out of the way and focus on the material you want the kids to see. And then the other one that's kind of fun is TubeChop. It's the same kind of an idea. There's always those YouTube videos that are really, really good, but they've got about 5 minutes of junk that you don't want to have, and you're trying to kind of scan through them quickly. TubeChop is you can actually choose the 45 seconds of that 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute video that you want to show and just chop it out really quickly and have that as your YouTube clip. So it's a really, really great way to take those long kind of videos that you don't want all of it and just get the pieces. You find the video, it says right there, select and cut the interesting part, and then share it with your friends. So it's a really super way to get a small amount of video out to everybody. This is a fun one that I do as well, interactive sites for learning. I think we shared this last year, and it's one of those that keeps changing all the time. The lady who organizes this must have a lot of time because it's amazing what she can come up with. Basically, what you have on this is you have every curriculum area you can think of, and then within that curriculum area, you choose math. There's addition, subtraction, multiplication, equal, less than, greater than, all that stuff. And there's probably 30 or so different little subjects, sub-subjects, and then you click on one of those sub-subjects, you have about 15 different online games that teach that skill. So if I'm looking for a greater than less than activity for kindergarten or first grade and I'm having a hard time, I'll go here and I'll find 5 or 10 that are really, really great, and I can link out to my kids to show and have them work on to practice those skills. It's always changing, and I will say that there are, as we all are aware, things will go offline. So you'll click on a game that looks really good and it'll say not found, but she's really good about getting those fixed and taken off. And I've emailed her and said, can I link to your site from my blog or from my website? Oh, please do. So she loves the press. She loves getting it out there. So it's a really, really great site if you're looking for any kind of curriculum activity for kids to use to strengthen a game or a skill. And are we back to you? Yep.
All right, so recently I was asked by a teacher, she said, Susan, I have one iPad for my classroom. What are some really great apps that I can use? Because we're not one-to-one yet. We're heading that way, but what are some really great apps that I can use? And some of the first ones that came to mind are from the Math Learning Center. They're all free, and they are all cover different math topics, and they're very open-ended. So there's one where you have a number line, and you can see that you can actually make math problems and demonstrate them and show them on the number line. You have the GeoBoard, where kids can pull and make shapes, and there are, I believe, about, I want to say 7 or 8 free apps from them. You can also use on the web. You don't have to have an iPad to use them, and I've used them in my classroom just on the web. And they really are, I love them. They're an easy way to incorporate your iPad or your computer into a math lesson. And like I said, they just have tons of resources there for you to use. Power My Learning. This is another one. This is a phenomenal site. You can sign up for a free account. And then this is kind of like that interactive sites for learning a little bit, in that they go and they look on the web for the best resources out there for science, for language arts, for math. And so let's say you know you're going to teach a science lesson on electricity and you're teaching it to 4th grade. You can go and input those parameters and they will shoot out all the best resources on the web that would go with that lesson. And I cannot say enough good things about Power My Learning. It is one of the first places I go if I need a little inspiration for a lesson, or I want a new resource that my kids might be able to use. I go here, and like I said, I put in those parameters, and you can see they've got everything from math, language arts, science, social studies, art and music, computer programming, using technology, and your life. And I just cannot say enough good things about it. And another place that I love, my other favorite place to go to find web resources, is EdShelf. Last year, we weren't sure if EdShelf was going to stay around, and I believe he did a Kickstarter campaign, or he did a Fund My Site campaign, and so many people love this site that we kept it alive. And it is a phenomenal place where other educators can share their thoughts about sites. I often will go there and I'll say, oh, I really want to know about presentation apps and sites that people are loving now. Boom. Pull them all up. I can read teacher reviews. I can see a video about the site. I can have a direct link. I know whether it's for a website or an iPad, how much it costs. And so this is a really phenomenal resource, again, if you're looking for resources, because that's something that I do all of the time. And it can take a lot of time to find what you want. This can save you a lot of time. EdShelf. Like I said, Power My Learning and EdShelf, some of my 2 favorite places to stop first before I hit the web for a Google search. All right, LabelBox. This is just a really simple app that can be for iPhone or iPad, and also it's on Google Play. And what it is it allows you to take a picture and then add some labels. And so let's say you want the kids to take a picture of and label the arm, leg, foot, head. They can easily do it in here. And I know there's other sites that can do that, but this is free. There are in-app purchases to purchase other fancier labels, but this is just a super simple one that kids could use. They could also take a picture from the web and add labels. And so like my kindergartner could do it. It's that easy. And so, yeah, I keep saying and so, but this is just another fun one that's free. I encourage you to go check it out. All right, TellEgami. We shared this one last year, and this is another favorite. In TellEgami, it's all free. And what you can do is you can create sort of a little virtual video. You have a character. You can choose hair and clothing and the skin color and whether it's a boy or a girl. And then you can make that character talk. And you can talk with your voice or you can talk with a computer-generated voice. And last year I did a book club with my 3rd graders outside of school, and we read The World According to Humphrey, which is about a little hamster. And they loved finding a picture of a hamster. They imported it as the background, and they stood in front, their virtual character, and they did a book talk about the book. And then you can export it right to the TellEgami site. They'll host it for free, and you can embed the video on your site and have kids watch a book talk. Then you could take it a step further and make a QR code, put it on the book. Kids could scan it and they could listen to their book talk in TellEgami. I've also seen where people will make 3 or 4 TellEgamis because they're short and put them together in iMovie to create a longer project. Say the character is going to visit places around the world, and so the background is the White House, and they're talking about facts about the White House, and then they go somewhere else and talk about facts. And I used it during that book club to introduce them, to get them excited about book club. So I put myself in a hamster cage, my virtual character, and got them excited. Why am I here? Well, that's because we're going to meet Humphrey the hamster. And so it was just a really fun way to get them excited and engaged about what we were going to do and to make a video. And it took me, I don't know, 5 minutes to make. Really easy. All right, Chatter Pics Kids. I love this one again. Talk about fun and easy. On this one, what you can do is you take any picture and you draw a line on the picture, and wherever that line is, it becomes the mouth that opens up, and then you can record yourself talking. So for instance, I made one because I have a friend who loves cats. With a cat, she was having a bad day, and I made her one with the cat was talking and saying something to her with my voice. Kids could animate, again, a book character or a famous historical character or just even themselves or a picture that they draw. They could take a picture of that picture, draw the line, give it a voice, and their character could come to life and actually talk and share something. Free, super fun and easy, and I love playing with it myself. So I know when I find something I love playing with, that my kids are going to love it too. All right, Random Name Selector Pro. I know there's lots of different name selectors out there. I found this one last year. There used to be a free version, and when I went to look at it this year, there's not that free version, although the free version didn't have everything in it. So I don't know if they just decided to eliminate that and give you everything with the $2.99 version. And I know apps go free a lot, so you might watch for this one if you don't want to pay $2.99. But the thing I love about this one, you can import all of your students' names in. Let's say a student is gone that day. You can also mute them for that day. You can say, I want you to pick everybody 3 times before we start over again at some point. And then the kids love when I use this with my iPad and say Reflector or an Apple TV on the board, their name comes up with a star and it makes a noise. Or an underwater version. They have several different backgrounds and things, and the kids just love that. And I'll tell you, I didn't even project it one day, but it so helped me out. And I do know all my kids, but I have about 500. So there are days when I forget somebody's name. But my administrator was in watching me, and he was just like, man, you just know all those kids, and you're just picking so many kids in the room. And here I was. There's my iPad. I'm just hitting my iPad that was sitting right there saying, oh, yeah, Julie, you up next. And it was great. But like you said, when you have 500 kids, there are days when I call somebody their brother's name and they yell at me, which is happening more and more lately. I don't know. Must be age. But yeah, or it keeps them on their toes. Let's go with that. But so I just love this one, and I just think it's a fun one. Like I said, I know there's other ones out there, but I found this last year and just kind of fell in love with it. All right. ByBoard. ByBoard is a whiteboard. It's an app and a website, and it's free. And the thing I love about ByBoard is that you create the board, and then you can invite anyone with any device to join you on that board. So let's say your students all have iPads. They could all join your board and be able to interact with you on that board. Or let's say they have laptops. They could join on the web, join you on that board. Or you don't even have to have anybody join. But this would be phenomenal in a math classroom. And this was one that I shared with that teacher that said, Susan, what can I use with my one iPad classroom? I said, you can use ByBoard. I know there's other things you can use as well. I gave her about 4 options of things to use. But like I said, with this one, if you did have more than one device and you all wanted to be in the same work area, so easy to do. We know that leads to chaos sometimes when you're all in the same work area with 5 or 6-year-olds or 10-year-olds or 17-year-olds, but yeah, or adults. But again, free, super easy to use, and easy to share that board with somebody. Pixabay. Pixabay, I found, and it is a great resource for free images. Now, when it comes up, you'll notice, and I tried to highlight, you kind of want to skip. They have sponsored images. Those are ones that companies want you to pay for. But down below, you have free-to-use images. And that down below went further down on the page. I just screenshotted the top part. And they have some phenomenal images that are there to use for free. And so if your students are doing a project and you want to find free images for them, or you want them to be able to find free images, Pixabay, you can go, you do your search, and then you can also sort it by popular or new. And like I said, just try to avoid those sponsored images for the pay ones and look down below for the free ones. And there was another one that you had just mentioned, Unsplash, was it? Or Unsplash. And they give you like 5-10 free pics a week, but those pics are all in here. high-def, beautiful pictures that are also in here. So Unsplash, if you want to see the 10 free, but when I was looking, I said, I've seen a few of those images before, and I looked on here, and they're on here already. So definitely check this one out. Yes. And then when you click on the image, they're going to give you the information for where the image came from and how to cite it.
Tuxedo. Last year, one of the treasures we shared was Wordle, and this is kind of a sister product to that. It's a different company, but Tuxedo is a way to make word clouds, but not just that jumbled word cloud that we're seeing. You can actually apply an image or a picture with it, and they've got a series of images that you can choose from, and you type in the words, or you can copy and paste from another text source, and it will put all those words in that word bank into the shape of that image. The way we've used it in the past is our first graders seems to every year always do animal research projects. And one of the things that we decided to do was find images on the web. Susan's had this idea, and she found an image of a cheetah. You can import an image or the shape of an image into Tuxedo. You can then put in the words or habitat or whatever it is about that animal that they've researched, and it then creates those words in the shape of that animal, and we print those out, and those are the cover for the books they're making or an image that they're putting in as part of their research project. It's a wonderful way to get kids to just showcase what they know. I think the more times you type in the word with this, the bigger, no, not with this one, it's just a random generated thing. Wordle, if you do it, the more words you type the same way, it'll be bigger. This is just a random generated thing. Sometimes you get mixed up with that, but it's a great way to get a shape rather than just a word cloud. So it's fun to do. And then we've got Newsomatic, another website kind of a way, or a way to get current events, kind of a nonfiction type of thing. Newsomatic has a daily email that you can sign up for. It'll give you, as a teacher, a PDF that you can print out, like a weekly reader kind of a thing, and it also has a teacher edition. There's also an app that you can get, and it'll have the app stuff where you can click on those things, and it'll show you kind of a interactive way to do it. There is a paid version of this. The paid version allows you to basically ask questions and submit questions, that kind of a thing. But you don't have to have the paid version to use this. It's a really great way to find some fun things for kids to read about or to check in on, and it's another way to get some current events or some nonfiction into your classroom in a fun, exciting way. And Google Drawing. We talked about this yesterday in the workshop we led on Google Apps. And I've said it then and I've said it again. It's the Jan Brady of Google Apps. Susan thinks that's a funny way to say it because everyone's about docs and slides, but drawing is a really powerful way to showcase information. You can use it to create labeling charts or Venn diagrams. You can make posters on a research topic. You can share information in a pictorial kind of a way using text and arrows and pictures as well. So it's a fun way to do it, and I think a lot of times people don't realize that it's there because we don't hear a lot about Google Drawing. So if you are a Google Apps for Education school, or if you are a Google Apps drawing, if you have Google Apps, period, check it out. It's a great way to create some really great images or to create projects that kids can add to in Google Docs if you share that drawing with them. Stick around. This is by Learning in Hand, and the Learning in Hand brand is by a friend of ours named Tony Vincent from Nebraska, and if you've heard of him, he's a kind of an international speaker now. He created this app, and what it is, it's a way for you to create kind of digital puzzles that kids can interact with. You have complete control about what kind of content you put in. It can be then exported and reused over and over and over again, so you can have kids do the puzzle, show you the answers, they get the answer key as well. You can then have it reset and kids can use it. Another child can use it. It's a really good way to do this. They've got about probably 8 or so puzzles that he gives you as a kind of a brain starter kind of a thing for your ideas, but then you can create your own, and they really are kind of fun, and some of them are hard even for me, but you can see there's the states, and there's a solar system one, and there's a one for verbiage where you can have a sentence or a moral, and then you have to put the words, if it's a noun, an adjective, an adverb, or whatever. So it's kind of fun to do and gives you some ideas of how you can apply that into your own classroom. Pixlr. Both of us are really big with graphics. We've always been really into creating graphics, and Pixlr is a really easy way to create some really nice graphics. We've had Photoshop elements in our labs for a number of years, and we've noticed that sometimes they get kind of sticky as the machines we have get older and older, and we get more and more stuff on them. Pixlr is a web version, basically, of Photoshop elements, where you can create layers, you can use all the different filters and tips and tricks that we learned in that program, and do it on the web for free. And you can then download those images as JPEGs or PDFs or whatever else, and it's a really great way to do this. They've got the editor, they've got an Express, and they've got Pixlr-O-Matic, which also lets you create different kinds of images, like the collages and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great site to check out if you're not familiar with it. And then, oh, Wonderopolis. We shared this last year too, I think, right? Wonderopolis is another one that's really kind of fun. What it does is it basically shares you a wonder of the day or a wonder of the week, and it's a video, and you can watch this video, and I like to do it with kids to get them into journaling or into writing or into thinking about what they've just watched and then expressing it in their own words. So rather than me giving them a story starter and having them sit there for 10 minutes going, I don't know what to do, having them watch the video and going, oh, that was cool. Why was it cool? And then they start writing about it because it's a live, they're seeing something, they're interacting with it. And what's cool about Wonderopolis is you can actually email them a question that you're wondering about, and if they take it, they will create a wonder of the day or a wonder video based on your question. So it's really, really cool. And if you haven't experienced or looked at Wonderopolis, I would say give it a shout out, because it's kind of interesting to do if you're doing any kind of journaling or writing activities with kids. Smarty Pins is one that was discovered last year by us. It's kind of a neat way for kids to work together collaboratively. I've got a lab of 28 computers, and I'll have a group of 3 or 4 working on one computer with Smarty Pins, and it's by Google. It's kind of Google Maps-ish. Up in the top corner, it will give you a question, and it kind of gives you the general area of where that answer could be, and you have to drop the pin in the map where that location is they're talking about. It might say, this has one of the longest bridges across one of the nicest bays on the West Coast. Where is it? You got to drop it on the Golden Gate. And you've got to it's timing you to do it. The quicker you get it done, the more bonus points you get. If you're wrong, it will deduct the number of miles you are away from it from your score. So you start out with like 1,000 points or 1,000 miles, and if I'm 50 miles away, I now only have 950 points or 550 miles. I've had kids in one question totally blow it because they're not thinking. But what's nice about this is we're big in the 4 C's, communication, collaboration, all that kind of stuff. I'll have one kid on the Smarty Pins app on our computer, and I'll have the 3 other ones on computers next to him, and they're all frantically Googling with their keywords, trying to find the answer. And they're trying to beat their time of that 10-second or 20-second time countdown to find the correct answer. And it's a great way to get them involved with geography, which is another thing my kids don't, in 5th grade, know where things are still. Where is Virginia? That's on the West Coast, right? And I go, no, honey, it's go the other way. So it's one of those things that with our curriculum and what we have to do, we lose a lot of that stuff that we did when I was a kid. So it's a great way to get them involved with that. This is a fun one too. Kahoot Math, the escape games. I have this as a free choice activity in my classroom. When kids finish a project or finish a product and I'm not quite ready to move on, or we've got a large majority of our kids still working, I'll say go to the escape games. These are basically problem-solving activities where you have to get out of somewhere. When I was traveling with my children last summer, we went to an actual room, an escape room, where we had an hour to get out of this locked room, and we had to solve these puzzles. And it was a miracle that I didn't hurt my daughter at one point. But we got out. And this is the same idea, but in a virtual way. They have math problems to solve. They'll have logic problems to solve. It could be a word problem. It could be anything. And they'll have to gather clues on multiple pages to find a key to get them out of this one area. They've got escape games like from a farm, from the spooky house, from an aquarium, from Paris. They've got tons of stuff. So if you want to have an activity where kids are doing logical thinking and sequencing, great place to go for those.
Edpuzzle, Jason mentioned earlier about TubeChop, and Edpuzzle kind of takes it to the next level, where you can break up a YouTube video and you can add in questions that you want the students to interact with as they watch the video, questions for them to answer. And so you can take a Khan Academy video, or you can take another video, break it up and actually make a lesson. So if you're in a flipped classroom and you want them to go and you have a YouTube video you want them to watch, you can bump it up a little bit and actually break the video up. After 20 seconds, I want to ask you this question. What did you just think about what you just saw in the video, or what just happened? And so it's a great way to take a video to the next level and not just have it be watching, but have the student interact with it as they're watching the video for your lesson. Rewordify, I believe I shared this one last year, but this one I love. It is a website. It's free. What you do is you take the URL of the website that you want to rewordify, you pop it in, and it will actually change vocabulary words to easier words for students. I used this with a 5th grade girl who was reading probably more at a 3rd grade, end of 2nd grade, beginning of 3rd grade level. She was able to read the same article her peers were reading, just with a little support from the article. You can set it so that the word either stays the same but is highlighted. You click it then for a definition that's a little bit easier to understand, or you can have the easy to understand words put in there already. So she was able to read it, click on a word and go, oh, that's what that really hard word that I didn't know meant, and able to, like I said, be successful with the same activity her peers were doing at the same time. And all I had to do was copy and paste the URL onto Rewordify. Purpose games. Purpose games is another fun place to make games, for instance, where kids have to match parts of a diagram. Or put the states where they belong. They have a ton of them there. Teachers can make them for free. Your game can live on there. You can use games other people have made. So again, another easy way to make an interactive activity, a little bit like the stick around, but online. Not as fancy, but still definitely worth checking out. I'm going to speed up just a tiny bit on a few things so we get through everything today. Grasshopper apps. I love a lot of the different Grasshopper apps, and a lot of times they'll go free, like the 1-2-3 Ninja or the ABC Ninja, Sight Word Ninja, Sentence Maker, and like I said, lots of times they go free. Sometimes they are pay, or there's a free version and a pay version. The thing I love about Grasshopper apps, more than their content even, you can totally, as the teacher, customize the content that is there. So on the Sentence Maker, I did RTI for a while on one of my free periods a couple years ago with 1st grade. I was able to make actual sentences about the students that then they could use in the app. I was able to take their picture and we added a sentence, you know, Bob is reading, or whatever the form of the sentence was, and they were able to see themselves in the app and interact and use it. I could go through and turn off all the words that they weren't ready for yet, that I didn't want them to see, and only have the words we were working on show up in the app. Another kindergarten teacher I work with often does that. She will limit it to the words that she wants them to see that day, and in the settings, she will turn off any of the other ones. Or if she has a group that's ready for more of a challenge, turn those words on that iPad and not for the other groups. So I love that you can totally customize. You can add your own voice if you want, and you can add your own pictures. Word Wizard. This is another one that I used when I did RTI that I love, and the thing I love about Word Wizard is that you can take words, you can make any word, and it will actually read that sentence. Word Wizard is awesome. The app will read it out loud after you make it. And as you're putting the letters up there, it's sounding it out and trying to figure out what words you're making. So really good for kids that are trying to process that learning, that sounding out of words, whether you use it whole group, whether you have one student use it. Definitely, I feel like worth the $2.99. They also have some quizzes where they'll quiz and ask kids to figure out words. I ended up using more of the open-ended part of it. Storyboard that. This I just found recently, and it says free and a monthly fee. But on Storyboard that, what you can do is you can actually make sort of a whole little cartoon storyboard. They have tons of characters, and you can add like a comic almost. And you can use it for free online. They do want you to pay a monthly subscription. Although, if you asked me personally and I wasn't endorsing it, I might say that I could take a screenshot of it and use it. I don't know, but you know, it is. I just found it to be a phenomenal resource that was there. And even if you had kids use it online and go to each other's machines and look at it or something and not save it or print it, it's still a phenomenal way for them to show what they know. All right, now we're down to probably one of my favorite things, and if you are interested more in this after this, we're doing a poster session right after this on Symbaloo down in the vendor area. You could come down and visit me some more there. But I love, love, love Symbaloo. Do we have any Symbaloo users in here? Oh, good, we have quite a few. And Symbaloo lets you easily compile web resources. And the other thing that I tend to do right away at the beginning of me planning a curriculum or a lesson is I go to like Power My Learning, EdShelf, and then I go and I start making a Symbaloo with all the resources that I'm potentially going to use. And I probably have, I don't know, I have just tons of Symbaloos in my account. And we're going to go through and share a few, the Symbaloo bookmarker. If you are a Symbalooer and you use it a lot, the bookmarker makes it super easy. I don't have to go back to my Symbaloo account constantly. I can add the bookmarker to my Chrome or my Firefox, and then I can just hit that when I find a site. It'll ask me to sign in. It'll say, oh, what web mix do you want to add it to? Do you want to add a picture right now? And what do you want to call it? Boom, it's in there when I go back to my Symbaloo. So I use that quite a bit. Yeah, it's like a Pinterest pin for Symbaloo. And now I'm going to share, and it kind of looks like this. It'll ask me to choose an icon. And you know, a lot of times I don't even worry about the picture right then if there's not one I like. I just want to get that link into my Symbaloo right then. Now I'm going to show you, this is my absolute favorite web mix I've ever made. In fact, my students were using it, some of them this week when I was gone. It's an animal webcam web mix. And again, with Symbaloo, you don't have to be a Symbaloo, have an account to use my web mix. You can go and use it right online. Every one of those is a webcam of animals that's live right now somewhere in the country. And I mean, the kids, you talk about it is blowing their mind. It blows my mind when I watch it. My favorite one is the sharks one. I love that one. And you're actually like, it feels like you are in the aquarium with the sharks. Manta rays will go by, other big fish. It prompted questions like, what is that fish? We've got to now research. My first graders, we have to research and find out what are those other animals in there with it. And so again, on my blog, if you go there and you look for the animal webcam web mix, I have some activities that I put together with it. A scavenger hunt where I'm asking kids, find an animal that has feathers. Find an animal that's a mammal. And then I took it to, now I want you to pick 5 of those, and I want you to observe an animal there. And I want you to record, what do you observe the animal doing? And then I made another one. Pick one animal and over, say, a 10-minute, 20-minute period, observe what do you see the animal doing over that period. And so, yeah, can't say enough good things about that. Love that web mix, favorite one. All right. Math manipulatives, you remember I shared earlier about those free apps. This is a whole web mix full of math manipulatives for teachers. You can see I've got like everything on there from online counters to dice to hundreds charts to spinners, money, clocks, everything you could think of, and those would be great to project up on a board and use with your students. And I'm going to go really fast on these last few so we get everything in. Nonfiction web mix. Oh, there it is right there. If you want to know about all my favorite nonfiction sources for students, I've got a web mix for that. And it looks like this. And I tried to find any possible nonfiction site that would be student friendly that kids could use and put it on there. So I could actually send kids there and say, find a current event there or find an article that you want to share about. At the bottom, I did add in my 4 favorite helper sites for kids, print friendly. So if they were going to print the site, or if they just wanted to block out, like Jason said, all the junk around on a website, Print Friendly takes it and kind of creates it into a PDF to download, and you can take out some things you don't want to print. Readability, again, is the same. I use that a lot with kids so they don't get distracted. Basically, take the images out. You can make the text larger. You can have the text just on a white background, so they're just focusing on the reading and not on all of the other stuff. Rewordify, and then Marker 2, you can actually mark up a website that you find. You could send a link then to a teacher. I marked all the nouns, all the verbs, or I marked this is the main idea, and Marker 2. Yeah, so those 4 at the bottom are kind of the helper sites that you could use to go along with the nonfiction reading. All right, and then my website, The Digital Scoop. And that QR code or that link will take you to my blog. I encourage you to follow it. You can follow via email. You can follow me on Twitter. And I just try to share things that I find that I love or things that I use in my classroom that I find helpful. So thank you so much for having us today.